Managerial judgment technique is a very common technique of demand forecasting. Managerial judgment refers to the process of managerial decision-making or a manager's ability to use judgment to solve problems. This technique can be applied to any scale of organization. The quality of decisions is dependent on the quality of information that is received. Knowing what informs decisions and using a structured decision-making process helps managers maintain a balanced, fair, and efficient sense of judgment. This technique involves two types of approaches, bottom-up approach and top-down approach. Some advantages includes the assimilation of information from a range of different sources. It allows for any sort of alternative course of action. There is stability and control in the workplace environment. There is team input and knowledge sharing, and the thought process is ever-changing with the addition of new information. Any number of challenges and barriers can occur within the judgment process, or can be a deterrent to exercising sound judgment. These could include no consideration of new ways of improving productivity or streamlining workflow in the organization. They may not have access to all information required, or the quality of information is poor. They may even have to act with incomplete data. There is a lack of skills, or the workforce is low, or there is an inadequate evaluation of the potential risk or consequences of failure.
The Delphi technique is a refinement of the basic approach of the qualitative approach used in demand forecasting. It was a technique developed in the 1950s by workers at the RAND Corporation while involved on a US Air Force sponsored project. It has become a widely used tool for measuring and aiding forecasting and decision making in a variety of disciplines. Generally, the technique is seen as a procedure to obtain the most reliable consensus opinion of a group of experts by a series of intensive questionnaires interspersed with controlled opinion feedback. The procedure of the Delphi technique is not intended to challenge statistical or model-based procedures in cases where human judgment is shown to be inferior. Its pure intention is for situations where statistical methods are not practical or possible due to the lack of appropriate data. Therefore, some form of human judgment input is necessary. Four key features regarded as necessary for defining a procedure as a Delphi are anonymity, iteration, controlled feedback, and the statistical aggregation of group response. Anonymity is achieved through the use of questionnaires, by allowing the individuals opportunity to express their opinions and judgments privately. Therefore, the basis of their opinion is without bias or influence. A main advantage of the Delphi technique stated to be the achievement of consensus in a given area of uncertainty or lack of empirical evidence. It has also been described as a quick, cheap, and relatively efficient way to combine the knowledge and abilities of a group of experts.
The nominal group technique is a decision-making technique commonly used in managerial research and by managers and practitioners in order to come to conclusions regarding options, positions, and problems within an organisation. The technique involves firstly putting independent ideas to paper, followed by the presentation of individual ideas to a group, and lastly ranking each idea brought to attention in order to finalise an overall decision in the process. The superiority of this technique derives from its carefully developed operating rules and principles in which facilitate the generation of ideas, some of which include encouraging participants to delay idea evaluation until all contributions are on display, permitting the acceptance of one idea per person per turn, and requiring that all ideas remain on display throughout the meeting. The nominal group technique ensures that no ideas within the group can be criticised, and research shows that it is proven to be an effective method for obtaining group consensus. The decision-making technique can be ideal for some organisations for many reasons, as it doesn't involve any specific group work. The process of decision-making can be fairly quick when compared to other human resource demand forecasting techniques. It discourages the pressure to conform, and it also doesn't require the practice of getting to know each group member prior to the commencement of the decision-making process. However, it still remains faced with limitations such as pre-meeting exposure and verbal inputting.
Trend projection, or time series analysis, is the use of data to project past and present trends into the future to make predictions. As a tool of HR demand forecasting, the goal is to look at previous occurrences and trends to make decisions regarding labour demand. For this to be effective, it must be assumed that the future will be a continuation of the past, or rather the previously observed trends will continue in the future. The cost experienced to perform trend analyses does largely depend on the organisation. However, if the data is readily available, then costs are minimal. Line managers or HR managers can then perform these analyses to determine future labour demand. This graph shows the foot traffic of a retail store in 2014 and will serve as a simple example of a trend analysis. By using this data, the manager of the store can see the large increase in traffic between November and January. This will then serve as the basis for the manager's decision regarding the amount of staff required during this period. The main strength of a trend analysis is the simple and inexpensive manner of its use. These analyses can be used for either internal or external demand forecasting and are accurate over short planning scopes. However, because trend projection relies on past data, it is not suitable for industries that experience frequent change, as new trends are not easily identified before they are established.
Since Mimco opened in 1996, the brand has had strong growth, which can be attributed to the brand development and strategy and the expansion of retail network comprising of boutique and concession stores. Today, there are more than 100 stores across Australia, New Zealand, and now South Africa. Human resource forecasting has taken a part in building Mimco's success over the years. It has allowed the company to expand stores and popularity, as well as invest in the employees to build lifelong careers and loyalty. Mimco's approach to HR demand forecasting is based on the theory of trend analysis. Mimco uses trend analysis by looking primarily at previous year's sales figures and employment to predict how many employees the business will need at any given one time. Two sources, Stone and Gully and Phillips, both link this practice to theory and research. These texts both outline the importance of previous data collection to the success of trend analysis. Mimco follows this theory by consistently recording sales, traffic conversions, and wage data to assist in forecasting labour demand. Further research performed by MIWA directly linked trend analysis to retail store operations and found that with sufficient data, the optimum number of staff can be found. This further supports Mimco's use of trend analysis to forecast their labour demand.